Get ready to discover the game changer that could transform your healthcare practice from a well-kept local secret to an unstoppable force in your community. Today, we're unlocking the digital marketing vault with a guest who's helped over 500 business owners add 6 to 7 or more figures to their bottom line while using the unstoppable force of YouTube ads. Are you ready to supercharge your practice and say goodbye to being the best kept secret in town? Let's go. Welcome to another insightful episode of Thriving Practice, the podcast dedicated to empowering healthcare practice owners in mastering the business side of their operations. I'm your host, Tracy Trapesky. I'm an executive coach and business consultant, and I am thrilled to have you with us today. In today's episode, we're diving into the dynamic world of digital marketing and discovering how it can transform your healthcare practice. Joining us is a remarkable guest who has truly an inspiring journey to share. Marcus Svedin was once an industrial electrician, and he found himself at a crossroads due to a knee injury. Little did he know that this twist of fate would lead him on an incredible path towards digital advertising. Starting with Facebook and quickly transitioning to YouTube marketing, Marcus, along with his partner Ben Jones, co-founded Titan Marketer. Titan Marketer is a digital marketing agency specializing in optimizing sales processes and YouTube video advertising. Along the way, Marcus has become a true expert in the field, and today, he's here to share his wisdom with us. In this episode, we're going to explore how to stop being the best kept secret in your local community. Marcus shares the incredible power of harnessing YouTube ads for brick and mortar businesses. You don't need flashy adverts. All you need is the ability to target the right people effectively. After all, YouTube is powered by Google, making it a formidable search engine in its own right. Marcus and I discussed the unparalleled targeting capabilities of YouTube and the success stories that he has to share. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with a newfound understanding of how to create a competitive edge in your area of expertise. So, without further ado, let's dive into this enlightening conversation with Marcus Svedin. Stay tuned for his invaluable insights and parting words of wisdom. And just to let you know, he wants you to understand that it's easier than you think to elevate your practice and stop being the best kept secret in your community. Let's dive in. Marcus, thanks for coming on the show. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So as we were in the green room, kind of warming up a little bit, we learned that it is the middle of the night for you.
It is. It's 1:30 in the morning.
That's fantastic.
That's how dedicated I am.
That's how dedicated you are. We appreciate your dedication and enthusiasm. So tell us where you are, that we have a 12-hour time difference, you and I.
Yes, I'm actually based in Perth, Western Australia. We're the most isolated city on the planet. My dad, whenever he flies over, he always says, "Oh, Perth, end of the earth."
Oh.
Yeah, it feels like it. Traveling for hours and hours and hours.
Oh yeah. So your nearest airport is where? Is it actually in Perth?
Yeah. So yeah. So is it Perth? Perth, like not a small. It's not a big city, but it's not a small city. But yeah. It's Western Australia is like, I don't know, probably a third the size of the U.S. So. Like I was born in Florida, and I remember people like from Texas, like, "Oh, Texas is so big." Yeah, well, you could probably fit like 20 Texases inside WA. That's how big WA is. It's it's literally just complete desert. And we live on the coast, and I love it here because I like fishing and diving, and I get to do all that here. But yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, well, and it's a long trek from the U.S. to Australia.
Yeah, it was a long trek from anywhere. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, true. This is true. Well, so tell us the name of your company and about what you do. I'm so excited to dive into like why this is an interesting topic for our listeners.
Yeah. So my business partner and I, Ben Jones, we run a company called Titan Marketer. And basically we specialize in YouTube advertising. And we love YouTube advertising. We do dabble in Google search. Google does own YouTube. So I may mix Google and YouTube with the same name. So yeah, one of the same. But that's what we do. We specialize in YouTube, and we like to teach YouTube ads to business owners, but we also do have an agency side. But it's just a super underutilized source of traffic that hardly anyone's doing. So we're like, okay, well, we'll niche. Like a few years ago, we started doing it. Like, a few years ago, we did all of Google, but then we realized how much of a gold mine YouTube ads were, and so we're like, okay, we're just going to focus 100%, mostly on YouTube ads, and that's what we've done. We've done that since pre-COVID. COVID came and that COVID came and kind of almost wiped us out because we couldn't do anything. A lot of our clients had to close down and whatnot. So it's but it was a rough period. Mm-hmm. But that's what we focus just 100% on YouTube now, and we teach it, we do agency for it, and we just eat and breathe, drink, sleep YouTube.
Well, I think it's so interesting is that it's this huge platform. I mean, most people know that if you search something on YouTube, you're getting Google's search engine. So it's this massive search engine that's behind YouTube, and yet people tend to shy away from doing YouTube ads. And we talked about this a little bit, but tell me, like, if you have someone who comes to you who's inquiring about either working on the educational side, the coaching side, or agency, either way, is there an uphill climb to get them to understand the value, or is it a pretty easy thing to show the value? Because you're saying it's underutilized, so I would imagine there's some resistance.
It's a good question. So it's not really uphill climb when someone comes to us, because we have like marketing calculators that we go through. And we have like a slew of testimonials and whatnot. And usually most people come to us, they've come through some kind of training, they've seen us, or they've come from I have my own YouTube channel where I talk about YouTube ads, so they've come from there or whatever. And so most people who come to us, they already have an understanding, even if it's a small understanding, of what the opportunities that are with YouTube advertising. So I wouldn't say it's uphill battle to convince them to do YouTube ads. The uphill battle comes when they decide to do YouTube ads and they have to shoot their ads, and I have to kick them in the butt a lot. Say, hey, where's your ads? Where's your ads? Have you shot them yet? Have you shot them yet? Have you shot them yet? Where's your script? Give us your script. Look at your script and whatnot. And it's that's the uphill battle part. that's the hardest part.
Doing the thing. Yeah. Well, and
actually
it's also,
doing it. Yeah.
For a lot of people. I mean, we hear it enough. If we're doing any kind of marketing, we've heard, the power of video. So there's like this concept of the power of video, and the power then of a video ad. And then there's the reality that it needs to be a certain length. It needs to be clear and concise and get the message across and well scripted without being stiff and all that. Right. And so no pressure. Right.
It's actually very easy to do.
Once you do it, you have to do it the first time, I think. Right.
Well, the first time is actually quite rough.
Yeah.
But honestly, you have fun with it. You have fun with it. Like you should see some of our stuff. Like we have, I wish I had a gag reel of all the stuff, but it's actually very fun to do. And it's after you've done it the first time, it's like, oh yeah, I get this. This isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Because the way that we do our scripting and we set our stuff up, you can literally shoot like 5+ ads in like a couple hours.
Amazing.
And it doesn't take very long to actually do it. It's just getting out there doing it, and not being, and you don't even have to be on the camera. You can, I know a lot of listeners are like, medical practice people. But if you're not the face of your business, then you don't have to be in the ad. I mean, you can just have some B-roll of like, just like video shots of your practice, or of your staff, or your office spaces, or whatever it may be. Maybe a bit of what's it called, B-roll of a B-roll of what's it called, um like the like stock video,
Oh, right.
stock video B-roll. Yeah. And then you can have a voiceover. So it could be your voice, could be your voice of your staff members. It could, you could get a paid voice actor. And then you just put it all together, edit it all together, and that's your video. And so, I mean, we've had a number of students and clients who run local businesses, brick and mortar businesses, and that's what they did. They just did voiceovers with B-roll and whatnot, and that worked quite well. For them. So it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard.
Well, I think human nature is for something that we don't know how to do yet, to way overcomplicate it in our minds and then avoid it like the plague. So that's interesting. And so from the perspective of like a medical or dental practice, I would imagine that this is a great tool to set themselves apart, particularly if they're in an area that's like saturated, right? So let's say dentists, for example, right? Because here in the US, most insurance covers most dentists. And so it's pretty, you can kind of go wherever you want. So it really is just like, well, most people choose either based on word of mouth, or like doing a quick search to see what's closest to their home or their office or whatever is going to be most convenient. But I would imagine that this is a tool that could be used to set themselves apart from
100%.
their competition, especially if it's 100%. Not being used by everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So in America, only about 8% of advertisers are actually using YouTube, 8%. So it's like this huge blue ocean of untapped goodness of helping you stop being the best kept secret. The targeting with YouTube is unparalleled with anything else. Like, it smokes everything. Like, for example, like on Facebook, you can target like male, female, you can target ages, and you can target interests, and you can target their location. But on YouTube, you can target what websites have they visited. Right? You can target what search terms are they typing into Google. So you target them. You can target people who have interest in things. You can target people who use certain Google apps, apps from the Google store. It's absolutely, the targeting is next to none, because Google has all this information on everyone, right? Like, if you use your phone saying, "Hey Google," my phone just gone off. So if you use a phone, you say, you say that, Google's gonna see that. It's gonna see where you go, right? If you have locations on, if you're using an Android, if you're using Chrome browser, if you go to a website and they have Google Analytics on their website, which they should if they're smart, Google sees that. Google sees you, or not you, but sees your IP address and whatnot and all your data, and it says, oh, well, this person goes here, this person's typing in this person's typing this, so we can put them, like, you can target people who are specifically in the market for certain services.
Yeah, so cool.
So the targeting with YouTube ads is just, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize that. And if more people realized just how Gucci YouTube ads are when it comes to targeting, it would be it'd be a lot more like Facebook,
Yeah.
where there's a lot more people doing it.
Okay.
But there's
Don't tell
not.
anybody.
So
Don't tell
yeah.
anybody.
You don't tell anybody. Don't just pause this
Don't
podcast.
spread the word.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I think that's really cool. So from like a client perspective, can you share like what kind of either a specific story or like the trajectory of results, like what they can expect? So let's say they come to work with you. I'm curious about like on the coaching side, because I think some people might, I suspect our listeners might be interested in like learning how to even do that. So what does that journey look like?
So we've had a couple. One was a student, one was a client of ours. So the client of ours was a brick and mortar tackle shop, fishing tackle shop here in near me. Actually, I'm actually good. Well, not have good friends with him, but I do a lot of business through him because I do a lot of fishing diving myself. So I'm in his shop all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Ash, and he's a franchisee who owns Tackle World. And he came to me. He knew I did advertising. He's like, Marcus, I want to do advertising. What should I do? I said, YouTube ads. He's like, okay. So yeah, we brought him on. He did YouTube ads, and in the first quarter of 22, he did $100,000. Well, no, he did six figures more. So it was over $100,000 more than the previous quarter of 21. Right. And the only difference was at that time was YouTube advertising. And so he's still doing it. Like he has people come in all the time. And he's like, oh, Ash, I saw your ad. I saw your ad. You know, he had people come in saying, oh, I literally live less than a mile from you. And I didn't even know you were here until I saw your ad. And so when you hear, like, as a brick and mortar business, when you hear this type of speech, it's like, oh yeah, it's working. Things are working.
Sign me up for some more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's doing really well. He's doing fantastic right now. And then the next one is a student of ours, and his name is Alex, and he runs a fertility clinic in Canberra. And he came to us and he's like, look, I've tried Facebook ads, but they shut me down all the time. And even when I wasn't shut down, didn't really work very well at all. Spent tens of thousands of dollars on it and just, yeah. So I said, all right, well, maybe try YouTube ads. So we started off with YouTube ads, and we started targeting people who were typing in, you know, how to have a baby naturally, right? Like, you know, or you know, fertility treatments or infertility treatments. And we started targeting YouTube channels and YouTube videos on this sort of topic. And there is a ton of that content on YouTube, right? And so he came to us, and the first thing I noticed was his prices were way too low. So I said, dude, you need to up your prices, because the higher your prices, the higher the lifetime value of a client is, the easier it is to advertise, because you can spend more to gain a client. So we stepped him through that first, and then we stepped him through creating ads, scripting, shooting his ad, and like he has this wall of babies, of just pictures and pictures and pictures of babies. Look at 90+% a success rate with his stuff. I said, dude, we're gonna get you a killer script, and you need to shoot this. You need to shoot this wall. Shoot your video in front of this wall.
Yeah, pull all the heartstrings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he did that, and within the first month, he had his first sale with his new price point. And it just started snowballing after that. So now, you know, he has to turn his advertising off, Like he'll turn it on for about 2-3 weeks and then he leaves it off for a little bit because he just gets booked out, you know, and that's because, you know, he's using a underutilized tool, which is YouTube, and he's using it properly. And so that's what I love to see. So I love to hear is that, you know, Alex is a business owner and he's taking control of his advertising. Because if you're a business owner and you don't have traffic, whether it's foot traffic or whether it's online traffic, your business is going to die. And so as much as I love like my agency side, I love doing the coaching side because it empowers business owners to create their own lifeblood, you could say, you know, without having to depend on agencies, you know, or if they do want to do agency, well, then they have an understanding. Like if they want to go use the agency because they don't have time, because we get a lot of that. We get a lot of our students that come to our course, like, look, I don't got time for this, right? Like I want to learn it, but can you do it for me as well? I said, yeah, sure. Right. But they will have an understanding of, you know, what to look for. So these other agencies don't rip them off.
Yeah.
Right. So it just empowers business owners to, you know, to run their business properly with traffic and providing the services that they are good at.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, a couple of things kind of stand out to me. One is like a lot of times my experience with medical and dental providers is that there's a lot of hesitancy around marketing in general. In part, you kind of alluded to it, because marketing gets a little bit of a bad rap because of the handful of, you know, shysters out there who have ripped people off. And it's really unfortunate because when you meet a high integrity group, and it sounds like you all are, right? Like you're coming from this perspective, like we want to empower you. Great if you want to work with us as an agency or go to another agency, but we want to put you in a position to make informed decisions, to make a good investment, to get a return on that investment, and to have something that you can continue to use over and over again. And so I hope that our listeners are picking up on this, that like if you invest in the education piece, even if you don't actually do it yourself, that now you're really informed. It helps you choose better providers for the services that you may be contracting out.
100%.
And market, you got to market.
Right. That's it. You hit the nail on the head. It helps you make informed decisions.
Yeah.
You know, so because I get a lot of time when people come to us and they're like, oh, you know, we were with this other agency for, you know, for 6 months, and they spent all this money. We got stuff, all results.
Yeah.
You know,
and
then we go into their Google account, and I'm just like, what the heck? What are they doing? Like, what were they thinking?
What
like,
happened in here?
Why are they running these types of campaigns? Why are they using these keywords and whatnot? So I'm just
interesting.
Like, yeah. But see, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I like education.
Totally. And I think another thing is like, even if you know, like this tackle shop, they were kind of tucked away, and so they didn't always get the foot traffic. Even if your practice is in a prominent location, I think the best assumption to make is that they haven't seen you, right? That people haven't seen you and they don't know you're there. And they don't know you're there because they walked by with their toddler and their screaming baby when they also had a headache, right? So like they're just life, right? So they're not going to remember, or they'll have seen it and be like, yeah, where did I see that practice? You know, so I think that marketing in any way, having a presence is really important. And then doing this very specific type of advertisements through YouTube, I think it's brilliant.
It is.
And as you were explaining the different search engines, I was thinking, well, that explains why I get the kinds of ads that I do when I use YouTube. They're all personal development because I'm like looking stuff up, right? So I think that's pretty hilarious. Like, oh, that
exactly.
Makes sense. Yeah,
exactly. And so like for example, with Ash, you know, like he had people a mile away that know he's there. So he's like the best. He was like the best kept secret. You know, so when you use like YouTube ads, you know, or you know, any advertising really, but YouTube ads is very effective because it's video.
Yeah.
it helps you stop being the best kept secret.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
and something, a provider, thinking of, again, like our listeners, the provider who has this incredible success rate at this thing that's very desired, right? Like people who want a biological child will go to great lengths, and then to find out that there's a way to and great, resources, investing a lot of resources in that. So to not know that there's a provider that can help them make some lifestyle adjustments without having to necessarily do IVF or really harsh fertility treatment must be very appealing. There's probably a massive market for that people are willing to pay for, but not if they don't know it doesn't exist, right? Or that it does exist. Yeah.
Exactly. So for Alex, it was a game changer.
Totally.
It was an absolute game changer for him, man.
Yeah.
And when he had his first client come to him with his raised prices, he got on a call with me shortly afterwards after he closed them, and he was almost in tears. Yeah. I was like, "Stop crying, Alex! You're gonna make me cry too."
Right. Don't show me that
was,
baby wall. Really?
Yeah, that's it. So,
oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, it's a very good untapped resources.
Yeah.
For brick and mortar businesses, particularly who just want to stop being the best kept secret.
Mm-hmm. So from thinking from the beginning to results, approximately how long would a timeline be? I know this isn't going to be for everybody, but just to give our listeners an idea.
So I like to say how long is a piece of string,
right.
But it just depends. It can be up to a month. It can be as little as a month.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Right. So for example, with brick and mortar businesses, it's just getting your brand out there, letting people know you're there. You can help them with whatever ailments or problems they may have.
Mm-hmm.
You can see people come to shop very, very quickly, easily within a month, the results. So the Ash, for example, the tackle shop, it was within a month. Because I remember calling them up saying, "Hey, I need to book in my diving gear to get checked." He was like, "Oh, dude, I've had 3 people come in today saying, 'Oh, I've seen your YouTube ad. I've seen your YouTube ad.'" It's like YouTube ad.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like that. And that was within a month of him doing it. So, for brick and mortar businesses, it's very quick. But if you're trying to sell a high ticket product, like a coaching program, or you're trying to sell a very high end service, I'm trying not to get into weeds too much with my nerd speak. But with the way the algorithm, the learning algorithm is with YouTube, it can take up to maybe 2 months to see your first high ticket sale with YouTube. But once it starts learning, it starts to snowball, and you learn what works, what audiences work, and this and that. But that's stuff you're selling a high ticket coaching program or offer or some sort.
Right.
But imagine for most of your listeners, they're mostly probably brick and mortar type businesses with a physical location. Man, easy within a month. Easy.
Well, that's remarkable, because I do know, I work with a marketing person that I, refer my clients to for all marketing matters. And, her time frame is usually it can take up to 3, 4, or 5 months, 6 even, before you really start to see things. And it's not because we don't have magic. This is just the way it works. And marketing is sort of a medium long-term game. And so we have to go into it with this realistic expectation so that people don't get upset. But a month to start seeing some results, I think, is remarkable.
Yeah. Well, that's because if you're looking at if it's SEO takes a long time, right? If it's Google search can be pretty quick as well. Google search advertising doesn't have to take very long. But you're targeting people who are specifically looking up keywords or search terms on Google at that time, right?
Gotcha.
Whereas with YouTube videos, you could go out to a much wider, broader group of people, or even as targeted, like even super targeted. And you're letting them know you're there before they have that problem. So when they do have that problem, they can remember, like if you have a really catchy ad with like a super corny like phrase or song, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen a few really good ones. They remember that. They will remember that. Like I'm pretty sure most everyone listening to this can remember a super corny commercial about maybe a car yard or insurance company or some kind of program.
It's still the jingle from my childhood.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
But you can get that recognition,
yeah,
and that brand awareness really quick to the masses, and your local area. So it doesn't have to be, all of America or all of Texas or North Carolina, whatever. It can be, I want to do it like 10 miles around my practice. So then you can put your video ad to everyone, or a limited search, like, very hyper targeted to people 10 miles or in radius around your practice. So it can be very, very quick.
Yeah.
It can be very, very quick.
Very cool. Well, I have, I think, 2 final questions for you as we wrap up. The first is, how can people find you? And you work globally, right? You work with
I do work
people.
globally, yeah.
Okay.
I do work globally, yeah. So
Awesome.
well, most of my humans live in America.
Most of my humans.
Yeah. So like if anyone wants to contact me at all, they can reach out at just go to titanmarketer.com. It's not Titan Marketing. That's a completely different business, Titan Marketing. So yeah, it's titanmarketer.com. Can reach out to us there. We have a few resources on that website and some trainings. You can, if you want to learn a little bit more about YouTube ads, we have some training that you can access on that site.
Nice.
And yeah, or I also have a YouTube channel. If you just search Marcus Svedin on YouTube, you'll see my ugly face on my video there. So yeah, and I got a bunch of tutorials and stuff about YouTube and whatnot on there, and that's probably the best way to get a hold of us.
Great. We'll make sure that the appropriate and proper links are in the show notes, so it's easily clickable. Fantastic. I mean, I think it's just so. It's interesting to learn about something that's untapped, right? Until we had this conversation, just sort of assumed that YouTube ads was a big deal. So, obviously not my lane. So what would you, if you could give a piece of advice to our listeners with respect to using YouTube, well, any marketing, but especially if they're thinking about doing YouTube ads, what would that be?
It's easier than you think. Like, the biggest roadblock that almost everyone that I've worked with has YouTube is, the script's hard, and the shooting the ads hard, and I don't know how to do it. And I mean, really, it's just ignorance is the biggest roadblock, because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So like with Facebook or with Google search, it's just some copy. With Facebook, it's a catchy picture or a video. You can't put a video on Facebook, but it's not the same. And then just hit start, and away you go, right? Whereas YouTube, you have to write a script, and you have to is a script structured properly, right? You have to write a good script, and then you have to create the video, then you have to edit the video, and then you have to create the campaign and upload the video to YouTube and add, So there's a bit of a process, but it's actually very easier to think. And the biggest roadblock is actually creating the video and scripting the video. Well, it's best to have something that's out there and imperfect. Like the imperfect thing done is better than the perfect thing not done. Yeah. So if you're somewhat interested in doing YouTube ads, it's a lot easier to create and do than you think, right? And because many people have that mindset about YouTube, that's why there's stuff all people doing it. That's why there's no one doing it. 8% of advertisers in America are doing YouTube ads. And the vast majority of that 8% are your big corporates, your insurance companies, your car companies, your McDonald's and Burger King. And, you know, it's those big corporates that are actually, you know, doing them. But this will give you the edge over your competitors, because I guarantee they're not doing it. I guarantee. We've had lawyers, tax lawyers. We've had, what are they called? Vehicle accident lawyers and copyright lawyers and all sorts come to us and say, hey, help us do YouTube ads. And so because none of their people, we have real estate agents, because no real estate agents don't do YouTube ads. They don't know how to. And and this is going, YouTube ads will give you the edge over any of your competitors, because I guarantee they're not doing it. But yeah, it's easier than you think. That's probably the biggest advice. It's actually easier than you think.
So just do it. Use Nike's slogan. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just do it. You know, like it's, as I said, the imperfect thing done is better than the perfect thing not done.
For sure. Wow. Well, I sincerely hope that our listeners come and check you out and learn more, because I think that there's a lot of potential there. And when I think of it from the perspective of a practice owner, you know, unless you have some amazing system that's already set up and you're going gangbusters, this is a great way to tap into a very specific market. So if you are niched in your practice, or if you offer something that you'd like even to focus on growing that part of the practice, I think this is a great way to do that, to be super, not just targeted to the potential new patient or client, but also to like what their needs are, what they might be looking for, something that they might otherwise be a little bit hesitant to ask about, but they would definitely go search. Right. Yeah. So that's, I think, also a creative way that people could be using it. So I encourage our listeners to like process this a little bit and go check out your YouTube and go to your website to learn more, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Marcus, what an interesting and informative conversation. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that our listeners appreciate it too. Thank you so much for coming.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Thriving Practice. I appreciate you. And I have an ask. If you got value from this show, make sure to share it. You can give a shout out on social media or tell your friends and colleagues about it. You can also subscribe so you never miss a show. To learn more about how we work with practice owners to help them take back their time, head over to tracytrupesky.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter, which has tips and tools for your practice success. A special thanks to our incredible team, and thanks to you, our dear listener, for sharing the gift of your time and attention. I wish you so much success as you continue to move forward in your day. If I can be a resource to you, let's schedule a time to talk. You can find the scheduling link on our website.